one thing I realized about life is like if I try to force something, it usually doesn't go right. You gotta just go with the life and just kind of let it take you where it takes you, and you'll have a better life.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what drives them. The optimism, patience, idealism, and courage, these are their attributes that we want to bring to life in these conversations. So if you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Hey, how's it going?
Doing well, Sabrina. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Yeah, me
What's
too.
what's new in your world?
I stopped watching the news because it's depressing
Okay. Yeah.
and decided to focus more on work and on my health. So feel better
That's
already.
great.
Yeah, feel
In
better.
your 5 years life.
Yeah, I saw your mom post something yesterday. Uh,
Okay.
was it your mom or yourself? I'm not sure. But
I
basically, I saw on Facebook that your mom took your daughter to watch Taylor Swift, not on
the Eras
concert,
Tour.
but the movie.
Yes. So Naima, my daughter, wanted to go to the movie, and I said, "You literally went to the concert. Like we literally took you to the concert, and now you want to go see it in a movie." And so I didn't want to watch it in the theaters. So Nani stepped up, took her and her friend to watch it, and they had a blast. Even my mom dressed up, like blinged out. They were all dancing in the theater. I mean, I wrote, "This is Taylor's world, and we're just living in it now."
I can't
You
think of
can
anything
witness
more
it
annoying
today.
than being in a movie theater and having young girls dance and jump up and down.
It's not just young girls either, it's women doing the same thing.
Wow.
I mean, she's taken over completely.
And she didn't go through she produced the movie herself because it was just recording the show. Two, she didn't actually go through a distributor that then takes it to the end cinema. She took it
Okay.
directly to the AMC chain of cinemas. Three,
Mhm.
instead of charging 10, 12, $14 like a regular movie ticket, she charged $19.89. So she
Yep.
decided on her fee. And four, she kept 57% of all the net revenue of those ticket sales. Um, I
It's
mean,
genius. She's genius. And I read that it is estimated after the tour and the movie, she will be worth $4.1 billion.
I
Good for
guess
her.
I guess it really is her world, and we just live in it. Um,
It is.
Beyonce apparently for her new tour that she's doing now has done something similar.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
let's move on to my
okay.
win. I don't have any fails this week. To my win, my win today is somebody who died last week. Hear me out. His name is Chuck Feeney. Do you know who he is? Chuck
No.
Feeney, Fweney. He is the guy who co-founded, the duty-free shops in the airports.
Yeah.
So he created what's called duty-free shoppers in 1960.
Okay.
And the reason why he's my win is because he came up with the philosophy of giving while living.
Okay.
So none of these charity trusts after you're dead, where the money goes there and then your wife decides what to do. He gave during his life $8 billion away to charities and philanthropic activities.
That's
Right?
amazing.
To quote my friend and a friend of the pod, Warren Buffett, Chuck has set an example. He is my hero and Bill Gates' hero. He should be everybody's hero. Sabrina, when he died, he had $2 million, his wife, and a two-bedroom apartment. And he
Okay.
fired the guy who was running his philanthropic activities. I think it was called Atlantic, because he wasn't deploying the money fast enough for his liking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. And I'm not surprised Warren Buffett said that because he's so philanthropic. It just reminds me doing this podcast, I've read a lot that, in our culture, philanthropy is not a priority for people. So maybe this, you reading this inspires everyone to give, everyone listening.
So actually, this what's it called, the Giving Pledge? You,
Okay.
the Giving Pledge, where Facebook, Bill Gates, like
Mhm.
Zuckerberg, all the billionaires, Jeff Bezos, I believe, they've all signed it now, which basically says that before they die, they will spend all their money on philanthropic activities. And he was the
Uh-huh.
guy who actually inspired this cause.
Okay. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, I don't remember the name,
McKinsey.
and I
McKin-
Mackenzie. Oh my God. Now she has been giving and giving, and I love to see it.
yeah.
I mean,
But the only
it's
difference, and she is phenomenal, she took the billions in the divorce and she's used it in dozens and dozens of great things, is that nobody knew that this guy was the
yeah.
guy behind donating everything,
I
because
never even heard his name.
he did everything in an anonymous manner, right? He gave
Yeah.
$350 million to Cornell Uni. He his efforts were going. I gotta take it over here because he's so impressive, including peace efforts in Northern Ireland, healthcare in Vietnam, and revitalizing Roosevelt Island in New York. I mean, he was called the James Bond of philanthropy.
That's awesome. Do you know, I wish I was better prepared for this, but Michael Jordan, I think it was earlier this year or last year, gave a chunk of money. I don't remember how much.
To North Carolina?
Um, gosh, I don't even know where, but my point is like they made such a big deal about it. And I was like, That's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you doing sitting on this money or investing it and making more money, which is great. Now do it for good, but they were all praising him in the media. And I was like, if you're worth what we read you're worth, you should have done this long time ago and you should be doing this tenfold every year. I mean, it's just, there's so many causes.
I,
Find a cause that you're passionate about and do it. This man did it and didn't need the recognition for it.
I'll admit, I do jack. So I'm selfish. I'm still saving up for my children's education. I'm not really thinking about philanthropic activities like I should be, like everyone should be. And I'll be the first to admit I don't want to be a hypocrite, but I don't do enough for society.
Well, maybe I'll change now. It's not too late.
Yeah, you're right. It's not too late.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm excited for today's guest because I'm ready to get a good laugh.
yeah. I'm
We
a
have a
little bit
great.
nervous. We've never had a comedian on board.
I know this is going to be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's bring him in.
Okay, so today we have Vishnu Vaka, a stand-up comedian, our first comedian. He moved to the US from India as a teenager and has kept his accent because he says he loves it. Vishnu says he got fat and became an American citizen in that order. He is spreading his comedy across the US and Canada because he loves to make people laugh. And I can't wait to laugh with you today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me,
Of course.
Sabrina and
We're
Amit.
excited to have you.
Hi,
Thank
Vishnu.
you.
How are you doing?
Hi, Amit. How are you?
Very good. Very good. I think I saw you. You came up on my TikTok feed. That's where I started following your
Yeah.
content.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you say
Yeah.
that's how most people
Yeah.
hear about you? Instagram, TikTok, or what is the source?
I've been pushing the Instagram and TikTok because back in the day, you go to a club and you gotta wait for them to give you an opportunity, and then you build your fan base, and that takes years. And thanks to technology, we don't need to worry about that. I can take my content straight to audience,
Yeah.
and then they can decide where I can go and perform.
Okay.
So the barriers are flattened. I think in every art field, barriers are flattened.
Sure.
Okay.
Vishnu, can we start from the beginning? Maybe give us a little
Oh yeah, of
background,
course.
where
Yeah.
you were born, when you moved to the US. I read somewhere that you did 14 schools before grade 5. What did
Yeah.
your parents do
Yeah.
that you had to move so much?
Well, my dad is a government doctor. He was not, I mean, back then, Indian, they give you a job, like a government job is a big deal. And, but he was a temporary government doctor. So they were shifting him everywhere. They put him in Nalamalai forest. They put him in like all these remote areas where there are no proper schools.
Within India.
So my parents within India, yeah.
Okay.
So they were like either they put me in a hostel or they put me with my grandparents, and they would, or sometimes they would have a regret. They would be like, okay, we're going to bring him back and put him in a school nearby, and then we'll, So it was a constant mobilization. Like every 3 months, I'm at a different school and making new friends. So
And what age?
that was my thing.
What age did you move to the U.S. and what? Why?
I moved. Well, I moved. My parents moved to America when I was in my seventh grade. I came here after my 10th grade.
Okay.
So I was 15 when I moved here to America.
And you still have the accent. Like, I know you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the accent I read, but how did you keep it? Like, can you do an American accent?
To tell you the truth, I think I'm also tone deaf, so I can't really tell the accents. That's probably one of the reasons I still have it, because in my head I don't have an accent.
But your audience hears the accent.
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing. Like, I moved to Morgantown, West Virginia, and when I moved there, one of the biggest things was like people used to try to make fun of my accent. And the more they try to make fun of it, the more resolve I have is like, fuck you guys, I'm going to speak however I like. I don't care. And also I noticed at the time, a lot of my new friends were into Italian movies, all the mobster movies, and I used to watch with them. And
Scarface.
they were trying to speak like Italians, um, and I was like, you're not really trying, you were just trying to do something else that's cool. So why should I change and accept that you are cool?
Yeah.
I'm going to get you to speak like me.
For
And
sure. I wish all teenagers had that confidence, right?
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
At what
It was
age?
just,
At what age did you decide
I
that
was
this is
50.
no, that I want to be a comedian? Like, you have to have the skills or the confidence
Yeah,
to say that I want to be a comedian, and then you have to get in the circuit. You have to do the shows and do the hard work. It's
yeah,
not an easy
yeah.
career. It's easier to trade than to become a comedian. So, at what age did you decide you want to be a comedian, and why?
Well, it was a kind of an evolution, because one of the moving through schools like the way I did, one of my go-to was telling stories. Wherever I go, I could make friends quickly because I noticed rest of the kids I do. Just because I'm kind of lonely all the time, I move to a new place, I don't have any friends. So big books are my thing. I would find a paper, newspaper, anything, I would be gone until the paper is done. So for the adults also, they know like if I'm not in the room talking to them, I found a book. And I used to go there and tell those stories to my friends in school, and they would be like, and that's where for example, like in my fifth grade, I was telling story to my benchmates, and we were all like, like, teacher didn't show up, so we had the class leader keeping track of the class and making sure everybody stays silent, and my row was just laughing. So she came up and she was like, why the heck are you guys laughing like that? And they were like, Vishnu is telling us a funny story. And she was like, why don't you come up and tell it to the class? Almost like a challenge. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I went up, and that was also my thing. I crave attention. And I'm just moved from a small village to this big town where back then there were like 15 kids in the village. I was the star. I moved to here, there are 200 kids, and nobody cares about me. And I wanted to be and so I went and told the story. The whole class was having fun. The next door teacher, she comes every 10 minutes. She was like, why is this class noisy? But now she comes, she was standing in the hallway listening to the story. And at the end, she was like, you know what, kind of became a thing where if the teacher doesn't show up in any other class, like eighth graders or ninth graders, they
Call
would
Vishnu.
call me from my fifth grade. Yeah. So that became a thing. And for my parents and especially for my grandparents, it was like, how are you planning to make money telling stories? Are you going to be one of those people that go around the village, I don't know if you know, in India we have Burakada and Harikada. It's a very big art form in India, like where this performance travel town to town, and they tell you these stories from the Mahabharata, Ramayana. They tell the stories. That is an art form. But they're kind of looked down on because they don't make enough money. So she was like, what are you going to do with your life? And then when I moved here, I was watching Jay Leno and all these guys perform on TV, and I was like, oh, there is a way to make money. I just need to learn the language now. But to get to a point from there to where I felt comfortable to be on stage, and I got by then I got married, I have kids, and my wife is like, you know what, you got to do this. If you don't do this, you know, she's like, you're really funny, you know what you're talking about, you got to go do it, just go.
That's
And
awesome.
once she said it, it's like, okay, who am I trying to impress, and who am I worried about not,
Yeah.
disappointing if she says that. So
She helped
that's
push
where
you.
it started.
Awesome.
Yeah, final step was after she posted.
So you decide, okay, I'm going to do this. What was the next
Yeah.
step? Get find a local
Well,
place or
yeah. So there was a local open mic. I went there. I went there once or twice. The guy, he's no more. His name is Mike Tomasino. He was he was the guy at Catch a Rising Star, and I went and put my name at the last because I was like, okay, I could bail any time, and I was sitting there like contemplating my entire life choices, like how the heck did I get here? I could have been doing my IT job and home,
what
and then I went up.
before you continue, what were you doing before? It wasn't IT, was it?
It was an IT job, but
It was.
I was switching a lot of jobs because it takes some few months to figure out I don't know what I'm doing. So um, I was kind of like going through the whole thing, like my entire life going through my head, and then I go up on stage and I literally talked about that. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" And I
Mm,
did a 5 minute set just about why I shouldn't be there. And the guy Mike was like pulling me aside, and he's like, "I've been in this industry for 30 years, but I could see you're just like free. You didn't even come here with a set. You're just free.
yeah.
Doing it with and you
Like
did
rapping,
really great. You should."
free flowing rapping.
Yeah, free flowing. Yeah, and he was like, "You should come back." And then he stopped doing mics, and it took me another 6 months to go back. But once I went back, we became friends, and he was introducing me to the headliners. And I remember one of the first shows, I did a guest spot for Paul Virzi. He opens for Bill Burr, and I think that was like the turning point in my life because I was like, it's such a hard industry. Everybody was discouraging me. They're like, dude, it's going to take you 20 years. You're already in your late 30s. And I was like, wow, it's not, something I can do. I did my 5 minutes, guest spot. I got off stage and I sat there, watched Paul Virzi. He had an amazing set. After his set, he was walking out and he points at me and he goes, come with me. And I go with him outside the show and he looks at me and he goes, dude, I don't know who you are. I just met you today. But I've been doing this for a while. You're funny as hell. You should never stop. And that was just like as if like when I was contemplating like should I stop, as if like God just told me like dude keep going. And this guy opens for Bill Burr. He's like Bill Burr is like a legend. And that was like again keep going. And it's like every time I hit somewhere where it's like harder, I was like can I go further? It's just like it's like as if someone is like telling me to keep going. And I had quite a few experiences like that where people would just out of random, they would give me an advice or throw something at me and just changes the whole thing. Like I did a set at Broadway, and the guy before me had a really tough time, and the crowd was tough, and I was kind of newer, and I was like, the guy seemed like an experienced comedian, and oh my man, he bombed. Like I'm going to have a rough time. And as I was walking up on stage, I don't even know who the comedian is. He was whispering to himself. He was like, I should have slowed the fuck down. I should have slowed the fuck down. And I was like, okay, I need to slow the fuck down. So I went there and I just like paced myself. And as I was slow and pacing myself and giving my time, taking my time, before it used to be like in my head, I was like, okay, I only got 5 minutes. I got to get as much content out as possible. So I would be like, chop, 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 don't give him time to laugh. And that was the newbie mistakes. And then when he said, like, slow down, and I went there and I was giving them time to laugh. And the more they laugh, I was getting more feedback, and the better my next line was getting. All of a sudden, I had a great set, and everybody's like, dude, you did a great job. And I wanted to tag the comedian, and he was gone by then.
Yeah.
And
He
I
was
was
like,
like,
I'm out of
again,
here.
yeah.
What's the
I was like, again,
what's the
yeah.
dream, Vishnu? Like, is it playing at the Apollo? Is it a Netflix show like Hassan Minaj or Dave Chappelle? And also throwing another question: how did you get into the Russell Peters uh, prelude?
Okay.
Two
I'll answer
questions.
the first one. Yeah, the dream is I want to change the stereotypes that they have for Indians in this country. They really don't know us here, and every comedian before me that is Indian either is born here or not really aware of what an India is and kind of plays to the stereotypes. And my goal is here I am. I'm Indian. I have an accent. I know my culture. I know your culture. I'm going to I'm going to normalize my people to this country. That is my goal. That is my dream. Like before, when I was in high school, I used to get hit with all these dumbass questions about me, my country, my religion, which are like I was like, dude, how the fuck do you not know this? Like and now and then I realized, okay, it's not their country. There are 200 countries. Like they have no reason to know about my country. But I just wish they wouldn't have the negative idea about my people. And I used to try to explain to people, okay, sati was not something we did. Like it was something that happened when the invaders were invading and kidnapping our women. That is where it really took off. It's not something we don't throw our women on fire. Like we haven't done it for hundreds of years. There are few people that might have done it somewhere in like remote areas, but it's not a norm. How many people can I explain this every fucking day? Because every time I say Hindu, they come up with sati. They'll be like, do you pray to cows? Like, how many times do I have to explain to them? I don't pray to cows. They play a very significant part in our lives being
Yeah.
a tropical country. So how many people can I change? Now, thanks to comedy, I can talk about this stuff,
You have a
and I
voice.
got hundreds. Yeah,
Great.
and that
You know,
is really the whole.
I I I would get like growing up here. I moved to the US when I was 4. I've never lived
Yeah,
in India, but because I don't have an accent, when I was older, I was in law school. There was a master's program in our law school, so we had a lot of students come from India, and someone
yeah.
told me, a couple of them told me, they're like, "Oh, but you're not really Indian because you know, look, you
You
grew up
brought you
here, look
grew.
at your
Yeah,
accent." And
yeah,
I was like, and it's like the opposite. Like I was so offended, and I'm like, "You
yeah,
grew up here, you know?"
I agree with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
I agree with them.
But
I lived
Well,
in
I
India.
think also,
Vishnu, I lived in
I
India.
did get the 7-Eleven jokes when I
yeah,
was a kid, and
yeah.
it's just not
I
funny.
mean, here is the thing. I don't blame the kids here, but like when I noticed here, when I moved here, I was kind of I was attracted to Indian people because that's who I grew up with, and I as I reached out to make friends with Indian people, they used to push me away. Be it my accent or be it that I'm an FOB or I'll be like, are you pushing me away because it's something I used to think it's something wrong with me, my accent. I need to change this, change that. And I was like, you know what, screw that. It's not with me, it's with you. Because one of the things that happen for kids that grow up here is at least now, like thanks to YouTube and internet, kids like my kids watch all the Indian movies. They speak Telugu. Like when he was a baby, he would come home and he would be like, I don't want to speak in Telugu anymore, and we'd be like, okay, but we don't understand English. Just play with him. But later on, I noticed he was talking Telugu with his friends, and I was like, what is going on here? And he's like, well, we like speaking in Telugu because it kind of gives us that privacy from the teachers and also makes us feel cool, like we know another language that nobody else does. So now that pride is like thanks to media and resources we have, that pride is coming back into our kids. But when I was in school, that pride was not there. I mean, to tell you the truth, for about 8 years I couldn't watch an Indian movie. I didn't talk to another Telugu person other than my family. It came to a point where I used to think like that was all a dream,
Yeah.
where there was like hundreds of people that spoke my language, and the movies and the sports, that was all a dream. That must be a dream. This is the reality. And I used to get thrilled to see another, like Indian or a Telugu person, and then I so I can't blame the kids because I mean the kids wanted to be American. They wanted to, like, they were kind of ashamed of their culture. And also, if you look at the Western literature, they try to portray Indian people as savages, and we don't know and it's and everything was like, that was another thing. Like when I moved here, it's like every story, as I know how it happened in India, is altered here to make it look like white people saved us.
Everybody wants to
And
be like
and that
Mike.
used to,
Everybody wants to be Michael Jordan.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's more than that. Like, history, like, just like to make one of the ways to take over you is make your people look make your leaders look small. Like for example, like, even I'm planning to do a video on that soon. There is a huge negative you know uh, idea about Gandhi in America for some reason. It's like he slept with little kids, they say. And I'm like, his niece moved with him when he's 74 years old after his wife died. And you're accusing a 74-year-old man who was pretty much spied upon by every single country in the world because they didn't know what the heck he was doing, and you're accusing him of sleeping with little girls. Like, is that, that is how they attack our leaders.
Yeah, that's
you
why
know they
the
you know
merchandise has Gandhi, right? You're selling a Gandhi T-shirt.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Bose,
And Subhash
Bose.
Chandra Bose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Bose escaped a prison in India through Afghanistan. In those days, during World War II, this guy escaped from a British prison through Afghanistan. He went to Germany, met with Hitler, the leader of the Axis, and asked him for help. He was like, well, everybody is fighting for rest of the world. Well, nobody is fighting for us. And when he realized Hitler is not going to help him because he's a racist, he next best thing is, he was like, give me your POWs that are Indian origin. And he took him to Japan, and he waged a war against British Empire. And this guy came through Singapore. He paraded in Singapore. Like, these guys had victories. They came all the way to Burma Forest. They had a national radio. I mean, these are like victorious things that we should be talking about.
Do
But
you
if you
talk about
Google,
this in your set sometimes? I mean, I've watched a
I
lot
I
of
do.
comedy, but I haven't seen this part. Do you
I
talk about?
am I'm g- I am working them in. I have so many stories. I'm working them in. I do talk about that in podcasts and stuff, especially with
Yes,
Godfrey. and
excellent. Yeah,
and like, for me, it's like those leaders are kind of buried. Like, if you try to Google Bose, there was an entire page trying to call him a Nazi. And when he went to see Hitler, most of the world didn't know what he was doing to Jewish people. Most of the world didn't know he was killing Jewish people like the way Hitler was, until end of the war. And this guy goes to ask him for help, and all of a sudden he's a Nazi now. And he didn't even fight with them. He went to Japan and he fought, and even Japanese didn't help him. They gave two people a gun. You have a
Uh,
spotter and a gunner.
I tell you what,
So it's like these people,
these are all
but
very
I
important
can't talk about.
stories, but you're just about the episode's going to be blacklisted because when the word Nazi comes on, YouTube's just going to
No,
break it
no,
from the
it's
algo.
not like. No, I'm talking about the the way they twist the
I
narratives
get
to
it.
yeah,
make your leaders look like who they are not.
But
and
today
and
they're
those are
friends with
the
Modi.
things.
Today Modi is
Yeah,
up there with Biden and Macron.
yeah.
Anyway,
I
let's
mean,
not
they
get too political.
glorify their leader.
Let's not get
But
too
I'm
political.
not being political. I'm just talking about the perception for the kids growing up
yeah,
here. You learn about stories about glorious stories about Columbus, glorious stories about Washington, and these are great people, but they have their negatives. But nobody talks about those. They had
Churchill,
slaves. They had
Winston Churchill.
Churchill, yeah. And then you turn around and you look at leaders of brown people and try to put them down, as if like, I can't have leaders, I can't have my own stories, I can't be proud of myself. That
yeah,
is how you subjugate people. And that is what I want to change. That is, I want to tell my stories. I want to make it normal for Indian kids in America to feel like, okay, I can be fat, I don't have to look exactly like another white person, but I can have my pride.
yeah. And there's so many Indian comedians now, like rising. Zarna Garg, Lily
Yes.
Singh. I know Amitu had mentioned Russell Peters.
I want to
You
know how he
opened,
got the call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How did
Okay.
that happen?
Well, Russell Peters is one of the persons who played a key role in my life. Like, he came to my college, and until then, even my friends, my parents, everybody, every time I talk about stand-up comedy, they would be like, dude, they're not going to get you. Like, white people, black people, you're not in India. And then Russell comes to our school, and this is a mixed audience, and this guy kills in front of like some 500 people. He was doing my accent. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, this is possible. And then when I started doing comedy, when I realized I could, I want to see him now, I messaged him on Instagram, asking him where I can, I saw he was going to be at Pittsburgh, and I asked him, can I come and say hi to you after the show? And amazingly, he responded and said yes. And I went to see him during the pandemic, and the after the show, they were like, well, it's the pandemic and he doesn't want to see anybody, so and I was like, I showed them the message, like he said sure on Instagram, like, and they were like, okay, we'll go check with him. And he went and checked, and he came back, and he's like, come back. And I went back, and he looks at me, Russell looks at me, and he goes, you're a comedian, right? And I was like, yes, I am. Like, how do you know? And he was like, I saw one of your bits online. I was like, you saw one of my bits online? And like a dumbass, I was like, which one?
Yeah.
And he actually told me which one.
He remembered?
And he remembered.
That's awesome.
And I was like, wow. Like, and after that, he gave me time, and he said, he gave me guest spot, and I had a really good set. And he was like, you are funny. And then that was like, and he was like, okay, if you want to do tomorrow, you can stay and do tomorrow too. And I was like, yeah. And I did the next day. And then I looked up where he was going to be again. I messaged him. I was like, hey, Russell, can I hang out? And he was like, sure. I go there. He gives me some time and build that rapport. One day he called me and he said, hey, Vishnu, I'm going to be in New York. I'm doing actually, he was doing Atlantic City. He was like, you want to open for me in Atlantic City? I was like, sure.
Wow.
And then he called me and he said, took me to Westbury, took me to NJPAC, and then he took me to Asia, 7 countries.
Wow.
And
Are these paid events, or
they're all paid. They're all paid. Actually, when he took me to Asia, I quit my job, and I haven't gone back yet.
excellent.
That's how well he paid. It lasted me 6 months, and one of the things he always did to me, the other thing is, as he was taking me on the road, in my head, I'm like, am I really worthy of it? Like, is he giving me a favor? Is he doing me a favor because I'm Indian, or is he doing a favor for whatever the reason, because I'm a nice guy or whatever? And he was like, every time I go up on stage, one of the things he always says, he never told me what joke to do or any advice about jokes. He's like, every time he goes, as I was going up, and he would be like, Vishnu, you're not here because I like you. You're here because you're funny. So get that thought out of your head and go up on stage. And that just did wonders for me. And during our conversation, I was like, did you really see my bit? And he was like, well, he, like, when you messaged me saying that you're a comedian and you'd like to come and say hi, usually the messages I get are kind of arrogant or like self, like, thing. But yours is like, dude, like, you're really funny. I love your stuff. I want to come and see you. And and then I was like, who is this guy? And I went on your page, and your jokes are really funny. So I was like, and so it really is because of his big heart,
Yeah.
that I was able to connect with him.
Do you write your own content, or do you have now a team of
I
writers?
I don't write. I just kind of think about that stuff and then talk about it on stage, and then I have it on my tape, so I can change it. I am not a writer. I don't have any writers. I can't afford writers, but I am not. I'm kind of too lazy to put stuff on. I mean, writing is, I forget that. I start with a huge pair, and once I start writing, I forget what I started with.
So your set isn't like rehearsed like a lot of comedians. It's just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I have my parameters, like I have my punchlines, I have my, as I do more and more, it gets refined, and I add words that work. But like usually it's, if I start a new joke, I'm just riffraffing on the stage.
That's awesome. That's talent.
What makes a good show,
Thanks.
Vishnu?
Thank
Is it like, if is it the mood that you're in? Is it how much alcohol the guests have had before you come on? How do you know that the night's going to be a good night?
For me, if they laugh at another comedian's joke, I know it's going to be a good night. I mean, because as long as the audience don't have any inhibitions, we'll be fine. It's sometimes it's I never really had bad audience. It could be like, they're really drunk. Being drunk is makes them bad audience because they want to talk.
They want to heckle.
And then the other thing is nowadays we have this other thing where people are high, which means their reaction time is delayed. So I have to adjust because for me their laughter is my feedback.
So you have to slow down
And
and wait for them to
yeah,
finish.
not only slow down, you kind of pick alphas in the crowd. Like, okay, if this person laughs, the rest of that group laughs. There are alphas always in the crowd, and you can find them where they are. And when they're high, that's when the crowd is mellow. So you kind of and to get a high person to get back into it is look them right in the eye and tell the line. And now they are like, oh, wait a minute, he is talking to me. And then now they get back, and then they laugh at the punchline. Once they laugh, the rest of them laugh. So, you kind of,
Yeah.
you identify the alpha person.
I noticed people like Russell Peters, Matt Rife, they talk a lot to the audience, especially the guys in the
Yeah.
front row, and they try and
Yeah.
take the piss out of them, and they get them involved in that way.
Yes. Yeah.
The content I've seen of yours, I didn't see that happening a lot. Is that
Yeah.
something you
Yeah.
avoid doing because you have your stories, and do you think that helps the
Yeah.
show?
Well, for me, I like talking about myself. I'm a narcissist, I guess. I didn't really care about the audience stories. Also, I'm not as quick as them. Like, I've seen Russell and I've seen like a bunch of I don't know Matt Rife that well, but I have another friend, Gerald Benford. This guy we did a show. I mean, just to give you an example, like we all bombed at this bar show where people were literally facing the bar and drinking. They weren't even looking at the show. And Gerald goes up, he was the headliner, he goes up and he literally calls each person by whatever the identification of them, and he made fun of them. By end of the show, everybody was into the show. And that's a talent that I don't have. And Russell is so quick on his feet. Like if someone says something, he'll have 10 different, things he could say. For me, like processing what they said and then like, coming up with something in English and I might have something funny to say, but by the time I translate it into English, it's not going to work out for me. And at least maybe I could make it work, but so far I haven't done it.
Are
I'm more about
your
storytelling.
kids watch your comedy?
Yeah. My older kid watches it. I mean, there are. I mean, with my kids, I kind of treat them like adults. I talk to them about most of the stuff. Even though my jokes about abortion and sex and they heard about them. They heard them all like the weed. Like it's just for me. Like I don't. I mean, I would rather they learn everything from me than someone else.
Oh
And
yeah.
and um, and they could talk to me about that stuff. That's one of the things that I noticed with my friends. Um, my Indian friends who like it's kind of funny. Like India progressed, but people that moved here in 1960s are still stuck in that same thought process.
Hmm.
So I have American kids like that are born here. Their parents are so orthodox that they never had a sip of a drink, and then we come to college, and they're the first people to pass out.
They're
And then I
binge.
have yeah, and then I have Indian friends who had a couple of beers with their dads, and they're like, yeah, I had 2 beers, I'm good, I can wait for a while. And how is this? Like, I thought you would be the one passing out, and they know the world, but it's the other way. So I'm trying to I'm trying
Sabrina
to
can
teach my
relate.
kids, like,
I can relate. Yes.
Sabrina.
And I'm trying to do the same. My daughter asked me these crazy questions that my parents never had the conversations with me. And so
yeah,
I just, my daughter's 10
yeah,
and I think
yeah,
around the same age as your kids, right?
yeah, 10, yeah.
The other.
Older
And
is 10, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
tough having some of these conversations, but I do it. I'm like, you come to me. Don't learn like the lies
yeah.
from friends.
Exactly, yeah. And now they have so much information. It's like not like they don't know. They
Yeah.
know everything. They know about reproduction. They know. I mean, you put it in a proper form, like it makes sense for them. It's
Yeah.
everything is logical in this world. There is no reason to hide it.
They know what
It's
lesbians are.
they know everything. They know more than me. They tell me a lot of terms. Like they'll be like, no, you can't say this anymore. I'm like, why can't I say it? And they'll be like, no, did we change it the word? It's now this way.
Yeah.
Binary.
Like my 3-year-old corrected me the other day. I was like, "Oh, you like Spider-Man?" And he was like, "Dad, we don't call him a Spider-Man. We call him Spidey, gender neutral."
Wow.
And you
Wow.
know what? Amita said lesbian because my daughter heard the word the other day and she knows, like, oh, they're gay, but I guess we never
Yeah,
said the word lesbian. And she goes, Mom, I told her, she goes, I don't know what it means. And I was like, she goes, what does it mean? So I told her it's two women, together.
yeah.
And she had a friend on her soccer team with two moms. She's like, oh, she goes, she starts laughing. She goes, Mom, I thought it was a religion, like Hindu, Christians, lesbian.
That's funny. That's funny.
Vishnu, I
Yeah,
noticed you have this elephant logo in a lot of your
yeah,
shows, and you have this
yeah,
tagline, self-driven. Can you tell us
yeah.
behind, well, like, what's the thinking behind that? What it represents?
You'll have to watch my show, Amit.
Oh,
Well,
I like that.
everything on YouTube is like 5 minute shows, unless you're inviting me
Where
VIP.
do we see that?
Yeah,
Where does someone see the whole
Okay,
show?
okay. No, I haven't posted it. I might do it soon. I did post that joke once, but it didn't. For some reason, people didn't pick up,
I haven't seen
and
that.
it didn't go viral.
I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, it didn't go viral. It's about elephant penis.
Oh, the fifth leg. You thought it was a leg, but actually it was the penis. It went all the way in, and then you have to learn because the elephants have that extra muscle. So
Yeah, you know it.
basically, he was
Yeah.
pissed off because he was watching 10 minutes and the elephant wasn't pumping. You know how a human pumps, right?
Oh, you saw the
For
joke.
to
Oh
reach
yeah, yeah,
orgasm, and the elephant was ten
yeah.
minutes over there and didn't even move. He went from behind. And after 10 minutes of watching it, he was like, oh my God, I've just wasted 10 minutes. But actually, he was doing it because they have a muscle at the end. So that's
It's
self-driven, the muscle of the. I sorry, I didn't connect. I didn't connect the two. I thought, you know how Indians, a lot of like the stereotypes. We are the elephant,
yeah,
or the monkey or the cow. The gods.
yeah.
So I thought it was
This
to
is
do with that.
fun.
I didn't realize it was a sexual joke. Got it. Jokes on me.
It was.
Jokes on me.
It's my dick joke. It's my biggest dick joke.
It's the dick joke. Got it. I like the pandemic joke. I like the wife jokes. You know how the
Yeah.
pandemic started when your wife got upset with
Ah,
you.
nice.
I think I mean I love your stuff. I mean I've been following you for a while. But
Actually, that's the same joke Russell watched. That's the one he saw me. Or like I
oh yeah,
remember he said he saw one of my bits on it. That was a bit.
yeah, yeah.
How my pandemic started.
I thought that was awesome. I
Thank
mean
you.
the rest of the people I follow, like Matt. My favorite comedian is a British guy. Shit, what's his name now? Jimmy Carr.
Okay.
Yeah, I,
I mean, I'm so bad with,
there's too many of them.
I should
Ramesh,
be aware of them,
you
but
know Ramesh, the Sri
yeah.
Lankan.
Ramesh,
Ramesh
no. No, no, the guy, he looks
Raghuvan.
like Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
right?
the guy with the beard.
Oh,
I
yeah,
follow.
yeah, he looks like Jesus
I
Christ. I
mean,
know him, yeah.
for me, I prefer these guys
There's
to
this,
Dave Chappelle. But there's so
yeah.
many. Chris
I mean,
Rock.
Who has been your inspiration comedy wise?
comedy-wise, I mean, Russell definitely in terms of like, normalizing it, but his style of comedy is different. He's more like mine is, I don't know. Like sometimes I like Bill Burr. Like I love the way he goes into rants, and like I love the way he's he, he's so confident to like um you know talk about the things that people are afraid to, like the gender bias. Like the way he would flip on it on women is so hilarious and so funny. Like I love that. Just like gives you a different perspective. I love his podcast because he has that, like he has a take on everything that is happening currently, but his take is so like balanced that I love that about him. So he is one of my favorite comedians. Definitely, I mean Russell Peters. I told that, like the guy. My friend Gerald Benford, like crowd work. Another comedian. Godfrey. I like Godfrey because that actually Godfrey has a lot of influence in me in terms of like I didn't know the lines where I could cross them when talking about your culture and your people. But the way Godfrey presents it so proudly and so defiantly, if you guys haven't seen him, check him out. Um, that kind of gives me like, okay, I can do that too, like for my people, like what he's doing for his people, and how he's presenting his people.
Yeah.
I can do that to my for my people. So Godfrey. There are a
Very.
lot of comedians.
When is a joke too soon? Like after 9/11, or currently, on Hamas and Israel.
If it's a good joke, there is no soon. Like I mean, the day those guys went in that Titanic and exploded,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the next day I asked a room full of people that if they would like to get in my minivan and go check out the Titanic,
yeah,
and I got laughs.
yeah. Got it, got it, got it.
So
Okay,
So
yeah,
this podcast is about success stories and the
yeah,
journey of our guests, right? So what does
yeah.
success mean to you?
For me, well, obviously financially to be able to feed my family and my kids and take care of them, that would be success. That other than that, like being able to do what I want to do and enjoy it and make a living out of that is I'm happy. Other than that, I don't care.
okay. Vishnu, if you want a comedian, what would you be? What would you like to be?
Like if I
If you
wasn't
had
a
not chosen
comedian,
to be a comedian, what other career path would you have been? What do you want your children to become?
I don't think I would have told my kids to become anything. They can do whatever they want. I mean, I would like to be at a place where I could give them that assurance that they can pursue whatever they want. Because one of the reasons it took me so long to get into comedy is because my parents, like my dad moved here and got me an opportunity to be here
Yeah.
and be exposed to all this. But at the same time, financially, because we're immigrant family, I couldn't just you
Yep,
know get out of it and say like I'll do whatever I want. Like I wanted to be able to support myself and not be a burden on my family.
sure.
So that I want to be able to give them that assurance, like okay, I can support you for a few more years if you were to pursue your own passion. That is all. But I just want them to do what makes them happy. i
Got it.
don't i don't give a fuck about
And any advice you would give to an aspiring comedian like Sabrina who wants to become a comedian?
Well, one of the books that really helped me is a book written by Kevin Hart. It's called I Can't Make This Up. And I'm sure there are other comedians who wrote books like that. But for me, when it really helped me because he talked about the relation, the strain on the relation because you're out in the night and the way the work the industry works, like how he went through everything and which is kind of a really good for me. For example, I was comfortable at Catch and I was meeting Mike Tomasino every day and every week, and I was like, okay, where do I go next? And I read the book, and he was like, go to places that scare you. And I was like, okay, what places scare me? And he was like, in the book, he's like, I was scared of doing shows at urban rooms. I was like, what is an urban room? And then I asked my friend. He was like, "Oh, those are the black rooms where like you go to inner city and you do these shows for black people, and they're if they don't like you, they're hardworking people. They don't put up with bullshit. So you got to be really funny before you can venture out there." And I was like, "Okay, is there any urban room that you know of?" And he was like, "Tina Graham has a room in on 79. There was like a 79 lounge or something." And I went there. I was so scared. I was like, no, like, how am I going to be taken? Like, I went there and I kind of meekly went to Tina. I was like, Tina, I heard you have a room and, can I be part of the show maybe next time? And she was like, sure, honey, I'll put you in. I'll give you 5 minutes. And she gave me 5 minutes and I had a great set. And after that, she gave me a hug and she was like, you're so funny. Come back anytime.
That's
And I
nice.
went there every day,
And they all laughed,
and they all
apparently.
laughed.
That is
Ke-
They all
great. How
laughed.
Kevin Hart,
scary
Yeah.
that must have been. Yeah.
Sabrina, Kevin Hart is impressive. His
Oh yeah, he's
his
great.
journey, the
Yeah.
amount of work he's done, his thinking. I saw an episode. I think it was Joe Rogan that interviewed
Yeah.
him, and his whole strategy and his hard work ethic.
Yeah.
Comedians are really
He's one of
hardworking
the
people.
smartest.
Yeah,
He's one of the smartest people I know because he plays to his strengths and he knows what his strengths are.
his height.
And reading his book, yeah, he literally like he knows when to pivot and go to somewhere else. And the way he picks his scripts, I mean, the guy knows what he can do and what he cannot do, and that's really a big tool for an artist to have. And reading his book really helped me out. Like if you were to start comedy, I would say like read the book because it gives you and it scares you too because industry is not. I mean, you see someone on stage and it feels like okay, like like it's a different thing to be on stage and not be on stage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
so
if
true.
you want to do it, like you gotta read the book, read that book. I mean,
Okay.
that's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Um,
Before Sabrina, before the rapid
Yeah,
fire, I had a quick question.
yeah,
yeah, go for
Um,
it.
yeah.
in the events that you do, are people allowed to like take the phone and record you, or is that no longer allowed in
Um,
events?
Well, I mean, we prefer people don't tape us, and bigger comedians like Dave Chappelle, like they make you like even if you go to cellar shows, they make you seal your phones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I recently passed at cellar, so I'm going to say like yes, you can bring your phones, but I've seen people like tape me as I'm doing it, and usually I'll be like, oh my god, they're going to put my content out there, and then I'm going to lose it. But nowadays comedy, I don't care, and also the quality they get is so bad,
yeah.
you know
And
but also,
they're spreading your content. So isn't that a good thing?
But if they don't tag
yeah, it is
him,
a good thing.
if they don't tag him, they don't mention
Yeah,
his name. You know.
but then even then they're sharing it with their family, friends, and like telling them
Yeah.
about me. So I'm okay with that. Like
Okay.
also one of the things that I used to be kind of apprehensive about that, but like Russell Peters, a story. If you, I don't know if you know, like he was telling me like he had a show where he didn't really sell well, and he was kind of like, and then one day, next day, he was sold out, and after that, he never like stopped selling out, and that's because someone taped his entire set and put it on YouTube, and that went viral.
Yeah.
And he was like, he doesn't even know who did that, but he's thankful they did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
So
See, that's what I'm saying. You just nowadays you never know,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Let's
I
hope
mean,
somebody does
nowadays,
that for
like
us, Sabrina.
one thing I realized about life is like if I try to force something, it usually doesn't go right.
Sure.
You gotta just go with the life and just kind of let it take you where it takes you, and you'll have a better life.
Okay, so I have to ask this question because I asked some of my guests this. Is it luck or hard work where you find success?
It's both. It's
It's
both.
both. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen people work really hard, and it's luck. It's like time and place. It's
Yeah. Time
for
and place.
example, I'm like one of the biggest breakthroughs I have is like when I went met Pete Lee. Pete Lee came to one of our shows. I was with Josh Blue, and he was in the town. He just wanted to run some bits, so he came to our show and he saw me, and we became friends. I opened for Josh Blue at the time. And then I saw he was coming to New York, and I don't know anybody in New York City at this time. uh, I didn't know Carolines. I didn't know anybody. I was like, okay, I'll go see him and make some, that way I can meet the people from the club. And I went there, and he came out and gave me a bear hug, and he's like, I'm so happy you're here. My my feature is running late. Would you like to be feature? Would you feature for me? And that is like a tremendous opportunity. And just because I was there, right place, right time, and I had a great set, and that got me into Carolines, and now Carolines is shut down. But like and then after the show, Pete is like, Vishnu, you're so funny. I'm going to go hang out with all my comedian friends at Cellar. You want to go? And the next thing I know, I was hanging out at Cellar, and now I'm past at Cellar. So it's like I'm telling you, like as I was driving to go see Pete that day, I was so low, I was so tired, I was so sleepy. I was like, I was driving an hour to go into city, and I was like, why the hell am I doing it? I'm not even going up on stage. Like I only met this guy once, and I could see him any other day. Maybe I should just turn home and go home and get some nap. But something in me, I was like, no, I gotta go and see him. And even if it is like just for 5 minutes, say hi, just come back. That's fine. I gotta do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I didn't go home till like 4 a.m. that night. So
Again,
Great.
again.
yeah,
Again.
Okay, the rapid fire, Vishnu. Will Sabrina and I will ask a couple questions, and whatever comes on your mind, short answers, just fire away. Sabrina, why don't you start?
All right. You are shipwrecked on a deserted island. You have all your human needs, the food, the water. That's all taken care of. What two items would you take with you?
I take a really big book.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Anything else? You're allowed one more thing.
I don't know, maybe a pillow.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay, you're in the toilet in the loo.
Okay.
You pick up your phone because obviously you're with the phone in the loo. Do you watch
Yeah.
TikTok, YouTube, or X.com? X as in not porn sites, as in Twitter.
I know, I know. X. I don't even have an account on X anymore because I wanted to have Vishnu Vaka comedy as a tag as my name, and it's too long for X. So until Elon Musk comes to his senses and gives me entire name, I'm not going to be part of X. So no X, but I do. I've been kind of switching between TikTok and Instagram, but lately more Instagram because TikTok is TikTok kind of judges you, and they keep throwing you stuff that you don't really care about. Whereas, like they think you care about it, but they don't get it right. They might, they keep putting the same stuff, and you're not in the mood for it. Whereas with Instagram, it gives you options which way you want to go. So I
Amit and I
can,
had a debate about this before getting on the call with you because
We said, okay,
he said
I said
in,
heterosexual men would go for X.com or YouTube for entertainment.
my husband walked in and he said Instagram. I said guarantee Vishnu's going to say Instagram.
I said millennials or models will pick Instagram.
It's
okay.
that British thing,
I'm
Vishnu.
I'm gonna add comedians
Yeah,
to
they
the
judge
list.
everyone.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
you guys think you know everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can tell right now you love hip hop, R&B, and am I right?
I am actually more of a Telugu music guy.
Yeah,
I
that's
do like hip hop, but
really.
I am more about, yeah. I mean, because these are the things that when I was growing up, people would tell me like, for example, I went to Godfrey podcast and I was comparing Chiranjeevi with Michael Jackson, and everybody laughed like, how can you bring Chiranjeevi? I was like, dude, Chiranjeevi is a great dancer. I loved watching him.
Yeah,
So and he was inspired by. So back then I wasn't proud about who I am. Now I'm proud. I don't give a fuck. I
yeah,
listen to
sure,
Telugu music.
great.
Good for you. Okay, next question. If you got to choose a song that would play every time you entered a room, what would that song be?
Oh, okay. There is this I was trying to use it as there's this song from a movie called The Maka. It's like the it's like saying like this international star, this great star is coming on stage, make a lot of noise, and it's just like mass. It's like mass star, like it's like just very over the top. And I was like, I'm gonna play that one.
Okay, I like that.
I thought he was gonna say Dr. Dre or Usher or something, but I, I guess
I mean, I love hip hop music, but to tell you the truth, I can't follow the lyrics that well.
today.
You know, yeah, even now, so I'm like, I keep going back. I like lyrics. I'm more of a, I'm a face guy. I like face of a woman. And I like lyrics of a song. That's who I am. And that gets me in trouble because if I see a pretty woman, I am looking at their face, so they're like, oh, he's staring at me. Whereas other guys, they look at their behind and they're done, and nobody, they think, oh, this guy is a decent guy, he's not looking at me, but here I am looking at your face.
You're
But that's who I am. I'm a face and a lyrics guy.
okay. Um, speaking of looking at women, love marriage or arranged marriage, and which would you want for your children?
Whatever makes them happy. I
Um,
mean, sometimes love marriage, they're able to meet someone. Sometimes I would never like arrange it, but if he needs some help, like if he needs help talking to her parents, or if they're like they both like each other and they're like, okay, can you like help us? I'm there for them. So yeah, I would say love marriage
you had
definitely,
a
definitely.
love marriage.
I would say no marriage.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we need to move away from these like societal bindings that we keep putting on ourselves. I think
sure.
we have evolved from that. I know back in the day, yeah, like you have a kid, you need to make sure there are both adults there with them. But now, I mean, let people be people.
Yeah.
Let's not judge them.
Cool.
They can do whatever they want. They don't have to get married.
Last question. If life
Yeah,
was a story, if your life was a story, what would it
yeah.
be titled? What would be the title?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Um,
That is my story. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. So yeah, that's my.
I thought you're the goat,
Ah, that's
Muhammad.
Muhammad
Oh,
Ali.
nice one. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. And Vishnu, where can somebody connect with you? Do you want to plug, I don't know, your Instagram
Uh,
account or your website?
yeah, my website is vishnuvaka.com. Vishnuvaka.com. My every other social is Vishnu Vaka comedy, except for X. That's why I don't have it because they don't let me use Vishnu Vaka comedy.
Got it. It was nice when I reached out to you. Normally, when I reach out to somebody who's got as many followers as you have on social media, I get a call or an email from an agent a few days later. I got a reply from you late at night, like 30 minutes after I messaged you, saying, "Sure, happy to help." I replied back to you at 1 in the morning, and at 1:30 in the morning, you replied back again saying, "Sure, I'm on." I was like, "Wow, this guy's just replied like back to
Yeah, that
back."
was
And then I blew you guys off at 10 a.m.
Well,
So I'm
maybe
sorry about that.
maybe you should get an Outlook
I
calendar.
didn't.
Maybe get an Outlook calendar and ask us what time zone we are
I'm
before the
so
call,
sorry.
not after the call.
I'm an idiot like that. I was like, oh, he gotta be in California. Like he said 10. Who wakes up at 10? Maybe like 12 Eastern or something.
the
Then
life of a comedian, right? Late
I
shows.
I have a
yeah,
newborn, Vishnu.
it's
I'm up at 6:30 every day.
oh wow,
Yeah,
oh wow, oh yeah, I was there.
yeah.
And thank God I don't have to do it anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But being a comedian, we're all nocturnal. Like I mean, Godfrey is like that. We both. My dad, even when I was growing up, my dad used to call me like Nisachara. I don't know if you guys know what that means.
Mm-mm.
No,
The one that travels to Nisa means dark, and Chara means basically all the nocturnal beings that wake up in the night and do their thing. He always said that's me, and that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it works out perfect, right? For
okay.
your
Yeah, yeah,
career. Yeah.
yeah.
Vishnu, I appreciate your time. I think you're going to carry on. I think your career as a comedian has only just started. I think you're going
Yes,
to
yes,
have
it
your
just
own
started.
Netflix show very soon, which
Hopefully.
that seems to
Thank
be like
you.
the bar today in terms of successful comedians. And I hope
Yeah.
to meet in person and be
Yes.
invited to one of your events, hopefully at the
Please,
Apollo.
where are you guys? Where are you guys located at?
I'm in Santiago, Chile.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
quite.
I'm in Texas.
Okay.
I'm in San Antonio, so not
Okay. Texas. Okay. Okay. I'll be there hopefully soon.
yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna
working on
follow
my.
your website to look at dates too. So
Yeah.
are you
Or if you're on Instagram or TikTok, I post my content there all the time.
awesome? Yes,
Every week.
Amit is right. Do not forget the two of us when
I
you
won't. I
go up
won't.
on Netflix and but we appreciate you responding and being here. I think you're awesome and I can't wait to see
Oh,
where
this
this
is such a.
goes.
Oh, this is so much fun. I enjoyed talking to you guys. I'm sorry I made you guys wait. You know and to make it up for you, like if you ever come to my show, it's on me. Like I got you the tickets, when I come to I know I'm going to come to Texas soon. Please hit me up.
Awesome. Would
It's
love
just
to
because
answer
I
your
Sabrina, for you, not for your
it's,
husband and your kids and your cousin and your mother and
no,
your
no, no,
father.
no, 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 for everyone.
Big
Just
family.
for everyone,
I
bring
warn
whoever
you.
wants to come.
See,
Just
Cindy, big
I
family,
got you
Vishnu.
tickets.
Big family.
It's fine, bring them all. The more the merrier. And I'm same with you. I don't know if I ever come to Chile, but if you ever come here, or if I ever come there,
Actually, I
same
wanted
goes for
to
you.
I wanted to buy a T-shirt, but I didn't. Do you ship international?
No, but I can see if I
it's a
can
meet.
set it up.
I'll
No,
shoot
you
it
should
to
think,
you.
Vishnu. Your world is not just America and Canada. Like
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
think
Okay. I'll change that. I'll
Shopify.
figure it out. I'm
Shopify it does
right
international.
now Shopify. Oh, okay. I'm gonna do that because right now I'm doing everything on my own. I have no agent. I have nobody. So
Yeah.
I'm doing like 8 things, and
Yeah.
I'll definitely get to it. I'll make it happen. We just for you, Amit.
No, thank you, thank you. If not, I'll come down in December, January to America, and we'll meet. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Vishnu,
definitely.
and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Good day.
This has been another episode of Indian Explorers and a great one. So we hope you share it with others and subscribe. Thanks,
Ciao.
everyone.